Hello everyone, welcome to Xucaboa, 100% Vanilla Baby, and I am doing a very quick, semi-live episode where we're going to review the 14 new trees from MrMaison. As you all know, I really love trees, and so this is going to be a very exciting thing for me. I do have the Airports DLC now, and also the Map Pack by Sanctum Gamer, and the Vehicles of the World by bsquiklehausen. So we'll load up our last save and get right into it. I'm not going to do any of the regular editing stuff because I want to put this out the same day that everything is released. Not specifically because I'm in a rush to do that, but I'm really excited to show these trees and see what's going on. I know everyone's going to be talking about airports and the vehicles and the maps, and those are going to be like the big topics. But for me, I'm still working on my city here, and it's full of trees. So the trees, for me, are the big deal. Let's see what we got. We'll start in this empty piece of land, and already we see that we have some landscaping feature to buy and sell soil, but that's not too impressive for me at the moment, at least. Let's start putting these down kind of in size order. All right, we got this large tree, then the kind of small tree or medium tree, and these little vegetation pieces. Okay, so some of them come in different sizes, you know, just like the vanilla trees. When you go to plant them, they can be a little bit bigger or smaller. And this is it. Okay, we've got 4 little pieces of vegetation. We've got 4 small trees, and we've got 6 large trees. And you see there's no ground spoiling underneath. Right here on the vanilla trees, there's like a little sandy piece underneath the trees when you plant them. So here there's no sand spot, there's no ground spoiling is what that's called. And it's very cool. Now there's also this feature where if you put trees on a boulevard, you can just click a tree on it and it will change the tree that's in the middle, which is an awesome update. Very excited for this because it's going to allow a lot more detailing options and personalization of your city. And I think you could do anything that's a plant, even if it's a vanilla one. It doesn't have to be one of the new plants. But all these things were free, so everyone should have them. They came with the patch. And this mechanic, none of these are dependent on buying any DLC. It's just a freebie that comes. MrMaison, one of the greatest tree and vegetation asset creators in the workshop for many years. Very happy to finally have some vanilla assets by him. Unfortunately, we can't upgrade parks or buildings that have vanilla trees in them and replace them with other trees, which is kind of a shame because that's going to limit our options for detailing in some places. But if you look, this is the difference between the new bush and the old bush right alongside. It's a more natural looking green, in my opinion, than that very bright green that's there with the vanilla bush. And this chestnut tree kind of blends in with these yellow leaf oak trees that we had before. This is the new oak tree. Ooh, some of them are quite big, yeah. That's quite a size difference. But the new oak tree, you see, is a pretty big tree and very realistic. The chestnut tree blends in a little bit more with the old oak tree than the new oak tree does with the old oak tree. So let's just see what it looks like if we plop some in to this area with trees. How well does it kind of match the feel? Some of these chestnut trees. I think that looks pretty good. It's not overpowering or anything like that. It just kind of blends right in. These flowers are pretty nice. And these little bushes here. Put one in the corner. Let's put a flower right in the middle. So many more options for detailing with plants now than before. This is what I'm the most excited about. Airports looks pretty cool. The buses are going to be great to change, and all the other vehicles that we're getting. Sure, the maps that Sanctum Gamer, I'm excited to open those up and check them out, but right now this is still my city. I'm not going to start a new city, so I want to see what I can use to make this city even better. Now we have some tropical palm trees that we could add into here too. We have this California palm, which is really, really tall. Really very tall. Compared to the vanilla palms. And then this is the coconut tree. And that's about the same size. More or less, maybe a little bit bigger sometimes when it gets the big one, but about the same size as a vanilla palm. And it blends in pretty well. Now let's see. Yeah, we just pop it around a little bit, and unless we redo the entire jungle here, I think we're just going to have to add it in discreetly. Now we've got this blooming pink tree, which let's clear out a small spot here by the tropical gardens and see how well it blends in with other pink flowery trees. Alright, so we got a few different sizes, but oh no, all of them face the same direction. It's got a very distinct shape and there's no tree rotation. Can't rotate trees yet in vanilla, which is a bit disappointing, because these trees are great, but if you put them all together, it's going to be a little bit obvious that they're facing the same direction, just because of the unique shape of their trunks and branches. But that's okay. It's a minor thing. If we add that on a street, let's see. It does look pretty good. And then, can we do paths too? Yes, we can. We can do streets and paths with trees. So here's a young linden, which it says is great for trees, great for streets rather. And I agree, it does look pretty good on the streets. It's pretty small, clean. If you get a larger, leafier tree, that could look good too. So we'll leave it like that for now. What else can we check out? We got the Pacific rhododendron is the name of this flower. The wild hedge, the tall grass cluster. Tall grass, let's take a look at that. This is going to be a great realistic detailing thing to stick some tall grass in some unkept corners of the map, and especially down here by the water line. You know, some grass is growing by the water, but it could also be good in fields. How tight can we get it up here against the water? Yeah, this is a really nice detailing asset. I'm really gonna enjoy using that. Let's see what it looks like on this oil terrain. Well, kind of covers it all up, but you know what? Let's not put it there. Let's try the other side where there's the cracking in the terrain. I think that does a pretty nice job. All right. Yeah, I'll be making plenty of use of this in the future, for sure. Let's see some of these palms and other trees on these streets here. How do they look? Okay. This Cottonwood Tree looks pretty cool. Would it fit in well in here? I don't know. I don't know. This is a really unique looking tree. I like how the leaves go all the way down the trunk, but it's gonna be in a place that's a little more wild, I think, because of that. Having it in a street doesn't make too much sense. Or at least that's my opinion right now. Maybe I'll change it in the future. I'll just pop some of these vanilla trees here until I think about what I would like. These new trees are really beautiful, but the tall ones, I don't want to have any super tall trees obscure my my skylines that I've built. Like here, that looks pretty good. That's reasonable height. Now let's try something. If we do this, that looks nice. Oh, but take a look at our LOD. I mean, I guess that's true with all the trees, but these pink ones especially, you lose all the leaves at this height. The LOD, that's the level of detail with the mesh. When you zoom out, it disappears pretty quickly, making the tree look bare, which is kind of a shame. If you're playing modded though, you can change that, but it'll really affect your performance. I'm sure that pink tree has a lot of triangles to it, a lot of polys and things that'll really eat up the system's performance just trying to visualize that, especially if you zoom out and try to keep those leaves on. So we can clear these out. Maybe just, nah, I don't know. We'll change this back. We don't need to use that. I don't want to get too crazy, like changing the map. We're really just checking out what came in the pack. But I am curious what will happen if I play around with this forest. Now you see, I have changed this small section to use. I have 2 vanilla trees in there, but the rest are the new ones from MrMaison, and it looks really good compared to the on the right side. That's the new, on the left side that's the old. And really it's those yellow oak trees that I don't like. Probably my least favorite, but they're in so many assets that you kind of try to use them to blend in the flora of the area. But you see how yellow that side of the forest is compared to the green on the right. Huge change, huge difference. Let's throw in some palms. I had put in some palms throughout this forest already, the Felipe G forest, because it's a tropical map, so I think there should be some palms. But if we just sprinkle them around, does that blend in well with these trees? I think so. I think it's looking pretty good, right? In our Roslyn Peninsula biome here for the mountainy forests, the ones that grow up towards the mountains and away from the jungle, away from the sea. Now I've done it to the entire forest. I have deleted every tree piece by piece and replanted these new ones. And you can see how the LOD, just like before, will load up as you get to a certain distance, but still, I think it's the fact that there's no ground spoiling is making a huge difference in how this forest looks, because before I didn't want to add 100 bazillion trees to cover up the ground. It's nice to have some ground show through, but there was always that sandy color underneath. So now we don't have any of that. And where I used vanilla trees, those large ones, I just put some vegetation underneath them to cover up the ground spoiling. And it looks really really nice. I am so happy with how this turned out. This looks great. Like you see over here, this is the ground spoiling, and it takes away something. It takes away the realism when you just see these trees and the sand underneath them for no reason. If I want sand under a tree, I'll put it there. Sometimes it makes sense to have some soil or dirt or something, but in vanilla, that's not really an option. So now with these new trees, you can do that. Unfortunately, that didn't change with the vanilla trees that came before this. But we've got a lot of places. I don't know how much I'll redo every single forest. I put a lot of work into these already, and redoing the Felipe G forest was really labor intensive. And I use so many trees in these that you can't see the ground underneath. So I'm not too worried about that. I'll think about it. If anyone has any opinions on that, let me know. This has been a first look at trees used the Xucaboa way. And I will see you next time.